This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. A lot of us spend our lives wishing we had more time. The question is, time for what? If time was unlimited, how would you use it? The best way to squeeze that special thing into your schedule is to know what is important to you and make it a priority. Therapy can help you find what matters to you so you can do more of it. Learn to make time for what makes you happy with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/IDK today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/IDK. Regular glasses. Sunglasses. Are there moon glasses? You might find out. And I don't know about that with Jim Jefferies.
Yeah.
And for sure, Jack Hackett. There would be moon glasses. There'd be some type of glasses that you could have at night to help you with traffic lights, probably, but I don't believe
I see people wear like orange or red glasses at night now.
Do you?
Yeah.
I have light-affected eyes from doing comedy for so long and having so many spotlights in my eyes that every time I shut my eyes, there's blotches. And I said to a doctor, I said, "What's that?" He goes, "Well, you shouldn't stare at lights all the time." And I'm like, "All right, thanks for the heads up. I'm going to become like fucking Roy Orbison up there."
You have some upcoming dates. You're going to be in South Africa in a couple weeks.
You're cutting out.
Huh?
Oh, you hearing fine? Mine was cutting out.
I'm fine.
I think
Yeah.
Jack's foot was on it.
You're in South Africa in a couple weeks, in Cape Town, Pretoria, Spokane, Washington, Denver, Colorado, Fort Lauderdale, San Francisco. Go to jimjeffries.com.
Fuck it, let's announce as well. There's going to be some gigs in Australia to record a TV show that are going to be filmed in April. These aren't even the tour that I'm going to announce at the end of this podcast that's going on in July, August. But there's a TV show. It's fucking happening. I can't tell you more than that because I'll get in trouble from the special people who want to announce
trouble from this statement. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'll get in trouble, Benji. But what are you going to do? Fire me? I'm on the show. Come on, let's come out, Australia.
Well, then I'll announce I may or may not be on that TV show. Who knows?
Well,
I may or may not be there.
It depends how you treat me on this podcast today, Forrest.
But April 24th and April 26th, I will be in Sydney at the Factory Theatre as part of the Sydney Comedy Festival. There's ticket links on my website for April 24th and 26th. If you haven't bought tickets yet, they are going pretty fast, so I'm excited about that. So please buy some tickets to that. And then I'm also confirmed now at the Comics Lounge in Melbourne, May 1st through the 4th. There's ticket links on my website for that as well. And then go to IDCat Podcast to see any upcoming other live podcasts that we have. We may have one in Australia.
We may do one in Australia.
Yeah. And we're going to do more of Flappers. The last one we did Flappers was awesome.
And ladies of Melbourne, because that's where we'll be. Ladies of Melbourne, Jack Hackett will be coming out.
All right, Jack's making it.
So I don't know if ladies of Melbourne are listening.
Ladies of Melbourne, get your dance cards ready. Let's start this podcast.
Please welcome our guest, Paul Morrissey.
G'day, Paul. We know Paul. But I'll play the game anyway. Now it's time to play.
Yes, no. Yes, no. Yes, no. Yes, no. Judging a book by its cover.
Is it Dennis Nilsson? Not Dennis Nilsson. Dennis Nilsson's the serial killer.
Wait, there's a serial killer?
No, the shirt, I guess.
Nilsson Schmilson, right? Yeah, I've watched it's Harry Nilsson. Right?
Yeah.
Well, Dennis Nilsson's is the Jeffrey Dahmer of Britain.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, there was this house called Cranley Gardens that all the comedians used to live in and take drugs in back in the day, and it was 2 doors up from that bloke. And the way that Dennis Nilsson used to kill people, he used to cut them. He was a gay guy, went to the nightclubs, picked someone up, took him back to the home. Don't know if you had sex with them first or whatever. Killed them, ate a bit of them, flushed the rest down the toilet, right?
Whoa.
And the whole street was backed up with human body parts and that type of stuff. So is it him? Are we doing him?
That's not.
Because I felt like you acting you'd be very good on Traders, the way that you acted like you didn't know about Dennis Nilsson.
I'm not a big fan. No, I lived in the building where the Hillside Strangler lived in L.A., right on Tamarind.
That's nice.
And so
can you rent his place?
What's that?
You can rent.
There's she's a famous author now. She wrote this book, You. And she actually asked to live in the place, and she's still in there. So I guess there's some weird inspiration.
That seems weird.
It's like I always drive past I was just in Vegas, and I drive past Mandalay Bay, and I'm like, I'd like to stay. It still seems like a nice hotel, but the mojo.
I think that whole section I think that part of that hallway is cut off now.
Oh,
I don't even think you can get to the room next to the room.
Yeah,
they don't want people going in there.
I wouldn't be surprised if they decommissioned the floor.
Fetishize.
But it's a Four Seasons hotel. It's a lovely hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not their fucking fault.
What about the Rusty Gun Bandit? Do you know about him?
Who's the Rusty Gun Bandit?
That's an Australian thing. I didn't know about it. Hall & Oates was touring there. The Rusty Gun Bandit comes in to like rob the place. Guess which one of them saves everybody's lives?
Oates.
Yes, you got it. You can Google that.
What did
Oates do?
Because oats are good for you.
Grab the guy's gun, like threw him through a window, something like that. Like it was an actual like.
Wow, that's an action movie.
The time Hall & Oates stopped a robbery. It says the Rusty Gun Man.
You're a rich girl.
Everyone gave Hall the accolades, but it's all Oates, man.
It's all Oates. All right, so it's not. Is it Hall & Oates?
No.
Is it music inspired? Your T-shirt's really thrown me.
Not music inspired.
I would ignore the T-shirt completely.
Is it entertainment based?
I would say yes.
Is it comedy in the world of comedy?
I would say yes.
Yeah, but yeah.
Is it in the world of movies?
No.
Is it live comedy?
Well,
We're talking about one particular person.
yes.
Yes, sir.
Right, and there's that person dead.
Yes.
All right, so is it George Carlin?
No.
Is it Richard Pryor?
Nope.
Older.
This guy would
Older?
this guy would not be considered a stand-up comedian.
Phyllis Diller.
But did he do stand-up comedy?
Might be considered the first stand-up
Okay,
comedian.
then he might be.
Mark Twain.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, Mark Twain.
right,
Twain.
Is that too easy? That's
No, it's good because I know that Mark Twain was. Didn't we do Mark Twain?
We did not done Mark Twain.
We've just mentioned him.
When have I talked about Mark Twain with
Probably
people?
when we did the comedy episode.
Yeah, because Mark Twain did a tour and stuff, didn't he? And he used to say, "But the reports of my death have been wildly exaggerated."
Well, it's when he was broke. Yeah.
All right,
And then I'm off to write the N-word in a book. Good night, everyone.
Paul Morrissey earned a bachelor's degree in English,
That's
literature,
not
and
true. He
rhetoric.
never would have said N-word. He would have said it in full back then.
A bachelor's degree in English, literature, and rhetoric from Binghamton University, and after quitting a career as a TV news reporter and sports anchor for ABC, he earned a master's degree in English education from NYU. Paul Morrissey is also a very funny stand-up comedian. He's appeared on The Late Show with David Letterman and The Late Late Show. Was that Craig Ferguson, right?
Yeah.
And on CBS, Morrissey co-hosted The Artie Lang Show for 5 years and still co-hosts Come to Papa with Tom Papa on Sirius XM Radio.
Like both goes.
Has a 1 hour special called A Real Humdinger, and his new comedy album, Ice Cream versus Everything, was released August 2023. Reached number 3 on the Apple Music charts. Find all this information. Oh, it was named one of the top 10 albums of the year by the Interrobang, too. Another thing.
Nice.
So go to paulhasawebsite.com and you can find all his stand-up dates there, your solo dates, and you tour with Tom Papa as well, and his album, and check all his stuff out there. But we're talking about Mark Twain today, so we're using your English degree.
That's right.
You can be
Yeah,
funny. but-
I'm not going to know a lot about. I've read Huck Finn is one of the few books I've read, and I know I said recently on a podcast I've only read 2, but I've only read 2 books for pleasure. I've read the ones that you had to read at school.
That's fair.
So I'm going to ask Jim a series of questions about Mark Twain, and at the end of answering, you're going to grade him as accuracy 0 through 10. 10's the best.
Okay.
Jack's going to grade him on confidence. I'm going to grade him on how hungry I am, and we'll add all the scores together. And if you score 21 through 30, you'll be Mark Twain. That's the best one.
That's the best one.
And then 11 through 20, Shania Twain.
She's all right.
And I should probably be better than Mark Twain. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. Mark Twain's accomplished a lot.
She just got by on looks.
Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't impress me.
0 through 10. I couldn't think of anyone else with the name Twain, so Texas Twang.
You do Choo Choo Twain?
Who's
Choo
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 Choo Twain?
No one. It's just funny.
Dennis Twain,
Dennis
Dennis
Twain.
Twain.
Mark's brother.
Okay. What was Mark Twain's real name?
Dennis Twain.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't know it was a stage name. Mark Twain. Why would that be a stage name? It's not
a
that.
pen name more than
It's
yeah.
not that good a bloody name. It's not
You
even
did remember it.
It's not even alliterate. Yeah, it's easy to remember. My whole life I've known that name. It's a good one. They crushed it.
All right.
Mark Twain. Because his original name was something a bit more.
What is it? That's the question. Yeah.
David Dusseldorf,
Okay. Which famous
which is
novels?
actually John Denver's real name, I think.
Which famous novels did Mark Twain write?
Tom Sawyer, Huck Finn,
The Adventures of.
The Adventures of
Yeah.
the young Indiana Jones.
Anything else?
Yeah, he did a whole heap of stuff.
That's all.
Poems and shit.
Okay. What was the significance of Mark Twain's pen name?
because never the twain shall meet. And so it's like he didn't do meet and greets after his stand up, which is a real money spinner. He should have done it.
It's time, a lot of time though.
In which American state was Mark Twain born? Extra points if you get the city.
He's always going on about the Mississippi and all that type of stuff, and it's always folksy stuff. It's
Going
always,
on about it.
Yeah, it's always. I want to say he was in that area, but not in that area. So I'm going to say Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay. What was Mark Twain's relationship with Halley's Comet?
Okay, so Halley's Comet comes around every 84 years.
Yeah.
It came around in about 1985, I want to say, was the last time we had it. Mm-hmm. So Mark Twain, I think he was the first person to go around from town to town and tell people that it's coming, because otherwise we didn't have like the news, like TV or whatever. And, you know, who reads that section of the newspaper, the comment sections? Oh, the comment sections people do read. But I would say that he was the one who probably introduced it to the American people as a thing.
What was Mark Twain's stance on social issues, particularly race?
I think even though to this day, because we were talking to someone about this the other day, that a lot of people want to ban some of his books because they have the N-word in there, even though it's an historical reference and that type of stuff, and we understand why that would be an issue. Well, I understand. I'm not going to speak for the rest of you. But I believe that he would have been pro-race.
Pro-race?
Yeah, he would have been. I reckon he would be. He would have been anti-slavery. I reckon he would have been a pretty free-thinking type of guy. You know, he's a guy who told jokes, man, and travelled around. Anyone who I always think that anyone who really, really travels has a very little chance of being truly racist. Because if you travel, you see people, and we all know that people are the same wherever we go. To quote Stevie Wonder or Paul McCartney, I don't know who was singing that bit.
Which other famous writers were friends or acquaintances with Mark Twain? Of Mark Twain's?
Jane Austen. She once. He once finger banged her behind her, like back in the day. They were artists.
Which book was that?
No, I won't say, because Jane Austen was in England, so I'm not going to. I'm trying to think of old writers.
Just name one.
He did coin the phrase finger bang, though. That was 1880? No.
I was believing you.
I'm going to say Roald Dahl.
Roald Dahl. What was Mark Twain's relationship with President Theodore Roosevelt?
He's the guy who put him in the chair. Was he the one in the chair?
Yeah.
All right, he gave him...
No.
Wait, who put
No,
who?
that was
No,
Franklin, right?
FDR, yeah,
That's
FDR.
Frank. Oh, that's Franklin.
Oh, the wheelchair.
Teddy was like
Teddy was the one with the big glasses.
Yeah.
Who liked teddy bears, right? Do you know that the teddy bear was named after Teddy Roosevelt?
That's not an answer to this question.
I know,
Give
but
him
it's
a point for that.
It's an interesting fact. He wouldn't shoot the bear, and so everyone was like going, "Oh, Teddy here."
yeah? Nice.
Teddy wouldn't shoot the bears, so they started bringing out a line of these cuddly toys called teddy bears because he was such a soft touch. And then they sold that. But the teddy bear was invented because of Theodore Roosevelt. There you go. But Theodore Roosevelt, what was his relationship? Finger banged him behind a trailer.
What led to Mark Twain's bankruptcy later in life?
It would have been a divorce or two. Everything's divorce or two. And then there would have been maybe he got sued. I'm going to say he got sued by another bloke who had a book that was similar with a raft and a slave and a kid trying to escape.
Which significant world figures did Mark Twain meet during his world travels or his travels abroad?
Obama, Putin. So I got to figure out the years. So I was like, I'm going to go 85. I'm going to go. He's at the end of the 1800s.
Yeah, when he was born or died. You know.
Yeah. I'm going to say he was at the end of the 1800s. And Theodore Roosevelt, the beginning of the 19th century, the 20th century, which is the 19th. I always get confused.
Yeah, I don't like that phrasing.
It's so annoying.
Say the number.
The beginning of the 20th century, which was the
1900s, yeah.
beginning of the 1900s. Theodore Roosevelt. So Theodore Roosevelt, and then we're going to go all the way up. So I reckon Mark Twain probably met Franz Ferdinand,
Yeah.
right? Franz Ferdinand. He was at the beginning of World War One, right? He had
Not the band?
Yeah, no, not the band, not the band. That's ridiculous. And then he would have met. I don't reckon he met Hitler, but he probably met that king of England who was really into Hitler, who used to visit Hitler a bit. You know, the one that got off the throne so that Bertie could come in?
No, I don't know.
I'm going to say the king and Hitler.
What was Mark Twain's opinion on religion and spirituality?
I believe that he would have been an atheist, but he would have been he would have done it in a jokey sort of form. But I don't believe I reckon he would have been an atheist.
All right. How did Mark Twain's marriage to Olivia Langdon influence his personal and professional life?
Well, what do you mean? How did it influence? He was married to the woman. He had to go to events with her.
She was a person that
When he came home, he wasn't allowed to stay out at the clubs as long as he used to.
like what was her?
I've got a new bit. That's not funny. You don't know.
I guess that. Okay, so he married Olivia Langdon. Tell me about her. How about that?
Olivia Langdon.
Yeah.
Well, she would have been an actress. That sounds like an actress name all day. Olivia Langdon, and Olivia Langdon and I Love Lucy. Olivia Langdon. Right?
She's an actress.
She's an actress, and also she was the first person to wank him off in the cinema.
Oh, no finger banging?
No. He was married to her. He respected her.
What was Mark Twain's involvement in the abolitionist movement?
He was pro-abolitionist. He wanted to abolish slavery.
Okay.
Oh, he met Lincoln. He met Lincoln. Put
what
Lincoln
did he
in.
do?
Put Lincoln in.
Okay.
Put Lincoln in. Put Lincoln in.
What did he do? Like, what did he physically do
fully-
besides being against slavery? What did he do?
Right. He probably during the Civil War made some comments. You know, enough of this.
What was Mark Twain's role in the founding of the American publishing industry? Like, did
He invented the print press
print press? Okay.
and also the spinning jenny and
know
the
what that
cotton
is.
mill.
All right. Here's the last question. How did Mark Twain's legacy endure beyond his literary works?
You can get the Mark Twain Award now,
Yeah.
which I think after this podcast I'll never get. I think that was what was stopping me.
It's only awarded to people that know things about him.
Yeah, I was very close to getting it, but I won't get it now. He's got the Mark Twain Award.
Like, as far as being a celebrity, what did he was the first kind of...
He was the first stand-up comedian. He was the first bloke to go around from town to town and tell a few stories where people actually sat down and actually listened to him and just sort of went, oh, this guy's a bit of fun.
Yeah.
And so because of that, he probably had more political reach and social reach than most people. And he probably changed the hearts and minds of many Americans.
Hearts and minds. Okay. All right, Paul. How did Jim do on his knowledge of Mark Twain? 0 through 10. 10's the best.
This is all the questions?
Yeah, together. Yeah, 0 through 10.
I'll take a 2.
For a guess, yeah, we got to go pretty low.
Yeah.
I know he's a white guy with a goatee.
He did know a couple of books, but I guess everyone learns that
Yeah.
in school.
Yeah, but not really in Australia.
You still have to
He's
use
not-
points if
see,
you
this is
I
the
mean,
pro-
you can give him a point.
This is the
but-
problem with this podcast. We just did one on Amelia Earhart, and everyone's just like, "Yeah, we learned that at school."
No,
I
we didn't. That was one guy. We didn't. We
I didn't
barely
know. I
learned
didn't know
about it.
any of that shit.
I didn't know
on the
anything.
Last podcast. Yeah.
Well, I didn't. We don't. We don't do it. We do. I think we do Huck Finn in school. Mm-hmm. And I used to watch the TV show Huck Finn that had that big steamboat go over. And I used to think, oh, that was all right. I watched that as a kid. But we didn't learn about him. We didn't. No one ever sat down. And I know he looked a bit like Colonel Sanders. Is that worth an extra
with
point?
the white suit,
Yeah.
he was the Steve Martin. He did that first. That was he was famous. He just wore the white suit. Everybody knew who he was. Had a white
You
mustache.
stick out in a room.
So what are you
Yeah.
gonna give him? What score?
Let's go. We'll go 3.
All right.
Okay.
I'm actually happy with that.
How do you do
'cause-
on confidence, Jack?
Confidence wasn't there. I'm giving him a 2.
2. Yeah.
Look, I'm not. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, I don't.
I'm like a little bit hungry, so I'll give you a 6. So that don't impress me much.
Hey.
Yeah. Okay, I'll be Shania Twain.
Shania
I tell you
Twain.
what, if I was Brad Pitt, right, I'd rock up to one of Shania Twain's concert and go, when you say the Brad Pitt bit, I'm going to come out. Right? And then when she did it, and she turns and goes, Brad Pitt, I'd just stand the wings and not come out and go, does that fucking impress you, bitch? After telling the world it doesn't impress you much over and over and over again.
You know Brad Pitt. You should tell him to do this.
I don't know him well enough to do that, but I'll drop him a text.
Okay, first question. What was Mark Twain's real name? You said Dennis Twain or David Dusseldorf. That's not correct.
Dusseldorf.
Were they both serial killers?
David Dusseldorf or John Dusseldorf, I believe, is the real name of John Denver.
Oh, right. That's what
the
you said.
singer, I believe.
We'll have to look that
I
up.
actually have read that book as well, John Denver's biography. I lie about it.
John Duchendorf Jr.
Yeah,
Henry
yeah.
John Duchendorf Jr.
Yeah, which isn't a good name to
No.
be singing folksy songs about America.
It's not a great name, period.
Doesn't roll off the tongue.
Yeah, you don't want to
John Denver.
you don't want to be starting your career in the 70s and be named after a German family and just go almost heaven, West Virginia. What's this Dusseldorf cunt singing about West Virginia for?
Yeah, everything with Dorf, I think anybody who moved to America cut that part off because Dorf is like dork.
Except
yeah.
for Stephen Dorff,
Oh,
who really embraced it.
Yeah.
and Dorf on golf.
Does Jim know that? Probably not. That's a very
Yeah, you
American
do. That's
thing.
Tim Conway when he was on his knees playing golf, like as a little person. You never seen that?
They just have a guy
Oh,
basically
God,
pretend
it's-
that he's a tiny person, but his legs are underneath the stage.
He's doing dwarf face.
Oh yeah, for
Dwarf
sure.
legs.
This is Dorf on golf for sure. You wouldn't.
So they do Dorf
wouldn't be-
basketball,
You wouldn't
Dorf
be doing
everything.
this anymore today.
No, I get the premise. You put your shoes down.
no. But he was on a golf. This was Tim Conway, and you know Tim
I've
Conway?
heard of Tim Conway Jr.
there you
and
go.
through watching a few documentaries.
That's him. He's just. He also has a Hitler mustache.
Yeah.
I never realized he had a Hitler
And he had the
mustache.
Hitler mustache.
Oh boy. Okay, so what was his real name, Paul?
Samuel Langhorne Clemens.
Samuel Clemens. Now I know that. I do know that. That's at the recess of my brain somewhere, but I never would have been able to pull it out.
And he was
But-
born when?
1835, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
35. So he was a couple of Haley's comments ago.
Yeah. Where did the Haley's comment one? What famous novels did he write? You said The Adventures of Tom Sawyer and Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. What other ones did he? Oh wait, did I miss No, yeah, that's right.
Well, there's Connecticut Yankee and King Arthur's Court, which is like
Nothing. No recall.
basically the first time traveling, like it inspired every time travel movie ever because it was a guy going back in time to old England, like from his time, basically.
Never.
So it's a pretty-
never. I've never. And I love the time travel movie.
Prince and the Pauper.
Yeah.
Yeah, know that one.
This one with the frog.
Oh yeah, the Frog of
The celebrated
Calaveras.
jumping frog, Calaveras County.
That was like his famous. He just wrote like a really funny newspaper article about a jumping frog that a guy told him, and like common people, they would always say like people who never read a book before would read Mark Twain stuff. So it was like common man kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Talked a lot about drinking. And by the way, did we do the name part where he got the name from?
No, that's coming up
Okay.
next. Yeah. What was the significance of Mark Twain's pen name? And Jim said, "Never the twain shall meet." He didn't do meet and greets after.
Yeah.
So Mark Twain is like it's basically two, like one mark is 6 feet and the other is 12. So when he was doing the steamboats, you had to make sure it was 12 feet deep. The water was 12 feet deep. So that's Mark Twain. So people use that as like a term, but when he was a big drinker, he would go to he went to the silver mines. So he was like in basically Deadwood kind of like a place. And so it was really like, whorehouses and whiskey and everything like that. So his nickname was Mark Twain, which was Mark II whiskeys. Like every time he came in, he would do. So that's kind of like the cooler term. But then as he got older,
the riverboat one, but the whiskey one.
well, he wanted to be classier later on. But the people who knew him when he was younger, that's where that came
Because
from.
I always heard it was like the riverboat depth.
Yeah.
Like you said, every 6 feet Twains or whatever.
Which is kind of like a common term, but it was funnier that like he said it in a bar, Mark Twain, instead of like on a boat.
So he was a big drinker, right? Or was
Yes, he claims that he wasn't, but it's clear that he definitely was.
But why would he wear white then? It's so hard to cover up stains.
I don't think he probably had a lot of stains.
Yeah, red wine,
Well, I think
whiskey.
the episode that I just watched was about the hemorrhoid incident, so that would be a bad outfit
all right,
for that.
Okay, I'll tell a little story very quickly. So the same pants, I was performing in them on Saturday, and I had to do a meet and greet.
So the blood came out?
Yeah,
He wore them on stage.
Yeah, they're completely clean.
Just making sure.
They're back.
Yeah,
What'd you use? You gotta tell the serial killers what detergent you used to get the blood out.
Whatever my wife used, she fucking got the blood out. That's when that's like that. That's the difference between a girlfriend and a wife, right? Because a girlfriend, you hide the pants and you don't tell her all this stuff. You're like, honey, I need these fixed. This is, remember the better or worse statement in our marriage? This is the worst. But anyway, so I go to do a meet and greet. And I have a piss just before Michael Yo came to the show. And Michael Yo's standing next to Forrest. And he goes, Forrest, Jim has a big piss stain. I've got like a little bit bigger than a quarter, maybe a 50-cent Australian piece.
Just to the right of your dick.
Just to the right of my dick. I hadn't shook it properly. And I had a piss stain like this.
Michael goes, you got to tell him. And I go, well, what am I going to, I don't think he can do anything about it. I go, yeah, I guess they have to tell him. So I was like.
Oh, no. These pants now, you could do a CSI version. There's enough trace evidence of everything going on here.
But we know who owns these.
Luckily, Orlando Leyba, another comic, there's a bunch of comics hanging out. He was taking the pictures.
Yeah.
We're out there, and he said he did an angle where you can't see it.
But Forrest comes up to me in front of the line of people. Hey, you've...
I said, come over here.
And you said, come over here. And then I assumed... I went, my fly must be open, which it was as well. That was another add-on, but they couldn't tell because I was standing. So I fixed my thing, and then Forrest went, plus, and I'm like, yeah, I got a big piss stain. And I'm like, there's nothing I can do about this. We just have to keep rolling, you know what I mean? I just have to hug all the people with my piss
Orlando
stain.
says he hit it. He hit it with the angle.
No, everyone was very nice about it.
Yeah, those pants have been through it.
They've been through it. They're like a sort of like an almost like an army green sort of denim. Like they look very like they're almost like slacks. They look like a pair of Indiana Jones pants almost.
That really made me laugh. I was thinking because I did my album in the National Comedy Center. They built this big thing and they have all of Carlin's archives, and I think they should put Jim Jefferies pants in there.
Hemorrhoid pants. Far as you can show him the photo if you want. It's always good to see someone's reaction.
You got something in that archive, I think. I think we sent some stuff.
Into where?
The National Comedy Archives.
Yeah, well, that's where. Yeah, I don't know.
I think he did an interview for it or something.
Oh,
a
cool.
long time ago.
I did something. I was meant to be a hologram for 5 seconds or something like.
No,
that.
they had your stuff playing because you can pick you just go through and pick who your favorite comics are, and then they link you up with all these shows and everything. It's really cool.
Are you ready to see him?
Okay.
There you go.
It's not for the faint-hearted. Have you eaten? I don't know whether it's better that you have eaten or you haven't eaten.
That's like, did you get a transfusion after that?
I should have felt lightheaded.
I just showed him. He's getting doubled. I just showed him.
Oh, man.
But it's funny if you press on it because then you can see the picture move.
So that got you through. One time, I don't know if this ever happened to you, when like the first bag that I had traveling the road, it was like good luck to me, and I never thought about like, oh, this might be like really dirty. Yeah. And like I should probably just buy a new one. So it was like a few years in, and I was traveling with my girlfriend at the time, and they did the whole swab thing. And they're like, we have to keep this because it tested positive for explosives. That's how dirty the bag was.
Oh, my God.
So I had to actually buy like a bag in the airport and put everything in it. So now I change them out every couple of years because I'm like, oh, man.
Okay, this show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Wouldn't you like some more time in the day, maybe an extra hour in the day, something more you could do with your life?
For sure.
What would you do with your day? I would spend it with my boys.
Yeah.
I'd spend it with my boys. I'd hang out with them for one more hour. The fun hour, not the shit hour where you have to get them ready for school or where they're crying or changing a diaper. Not those ones.
No.
Just the bit where I'm playing video games with them and we're all having a laugh. A lot of us spend our lives wishing we had more time. The question is, time for what? If time is unlimited, how would you use it? The best way to squeeze that special thing into your schedule is to know what's important to you and to make it a priority. Therapy can help you find what matters to you so you can have more of it. Look, I'm a big component, a big fan If I could have a flag that said therapy, I'd be waving it right now. I'm a big fan of therapy. Love myself some therapy. It's
And
helped
you don't
me.
even like flags, but that's a flag.
I
you don't
hate
have.
flags. I hate flags. Please don't try to change that. I hate flags. I'm not a big fan of flags. I think flags are stupid, but I'd have one for therapy. Big fan of therapy. It's got me through trouble. I can say truthfully, I don't know if I'd be here without therapy. So there you go. They can't get a better endorsement than that. Unless you really hate me, then you despise therapy because I'm still around.
I'm surprised you're listening to this ad.
Yeah, if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Learn to make time for what makes you happy with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/IDK today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/IDK. I've told this story once before, or a couple of times before, but okay. So one time I had another hemorrhoid who was bleeding. It's fucking, and these are the two worst bleeding incidences I've ever had. At the moment, I'm like living on cloud. I've got a great asshole right now. You could eat off it. Anyway, so but you know, like I didn't have TSA pre-check, and you have to go in and do the X-ray. Right, and I had a wadded up bit of toilet paper in my ass to clot up all the blood. Right, and so they go, there's something in your back pocket, and I've gone, oh no, because it clearly looks like I've shoved drugs up my ass.
Yeah.
Right?
I thought it looked like a water balloon if it was getting big.
That was just a bit of paper that was just
little heroin
wedged
bag.
in there.
Yeah.
And so I just pulled out this soaked bit of bloody tissue out of my ass. And they did not check anymore. They called it a day. They let me move on. So drug dealers, just put a blood-stained bit of paper up your ass and you can get anything through.
Hey, how often do you guys wash jeans?
After every hemorrhoid pop.
No, I mean like
No, they get 4 wears and then I wash them.
4 wears.
I don't wash my black ones.
Ever?
Ever?
I take them to the dry cleaner, just them do steam thing, because the black will fade.
I've had these forever.
I would
wash
say
your
a
jeans?
week.
Those look good.
I would
Every
say a
week?
week. Yeah.
There's times I haven't washed them for like months. Is that bad?
That is bad.
It's like, but you meet a girl who's like, when you start dating someone, they're like, hey, you haven't washed those since I've met you.
Yeah.
You know, and then you're like, oh yeah, I should probably
No,
start
but I
doing
wash.
that.
I'm very clean about it. I wash everything, all my other clothes.
It's not even for
towels,
cleanliness, it's so that
beds.
they get their body back.
I think Levi's even
So
says
you-
like you don't have to wash them. You just put them in the freezer and it kills all the bacteria.
freezer.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
We're
Levi.
using alternative medicine.
Yeah,
here.
exactly.
Where do you get the inevitable food
Steaming.
stains and all that type
You
of stuff?
spot clean it.
No, I like them getting more worn and worn and worn.
I agree with you.
In which American state was Mark Twain born? Jim said Atlanta, Georgia. He was, yeah.
Well, Florida, Missouri
Yeah.
was the actual town, and then he moved to Hannibal, which is where is like
Missouri,
the riverboat
yeah.
town on the Mississippi. So that's where all the stories kind of came from.
When you wrote this in here, I was like, Florida. I didn't know it was from Florida. But
Isn't
then I
that
was
funny?
like,
It's called
Florida,
Missouri. Missouri.
And then I looked it up on a map, and there was a city next to it called Mexico, Missouri. So I don't know what the
There
fuck
must
they're
be
doing.
fucking no one living there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've never heard of it.
He
Yeah.
moved to Hannibal when he was like 4, so that's just like a sidebar, I guess.
And that was on the Mississippi River, Hannibal.
Yeah, and that's where all the supposedly like all the actual characters from Huck Finn and Tom Sawyer
That's
were
where
all.
that's where he did a lot of his talks because he was a Hannibal lecturer.
Want to make a mark where that is? Edit that out.
So he
Jack,
did
that
that-
part there. Yeah.
So he did end up.
Hannibal lecturer.
So he did end up being a like basically a steamboat captain. Like he learned how to do it.
Yeah.
And
It's just one wheel, isn't it?
yeah, but you're still
I've
driving a
watched it.
pretty big ship.
I've seen a fucking mouse do it, mate.
You can only go one way.
While whistling.
Yeah, it goes forward. like
Nothing to it.
when Mickey Mouse was doing it, he was spinning the wheel like this. That boat must have just been going like this. Oh, the fucking mouse is in charge.
So yeah,
It's like
that's
Speed 2 out there.
that's kind of the cool thing because he was like he was really young when he started doing that, and then his brother was doing it with him.
Dennis?
And and his brother actually died in like a boiler room. They had some, the
for
safety
the steam,
stuff
for the steam engine.
was not. So his brother died, and so he quit quit that when he was like, I think 18 or 20. And they said he was a pretty good like captain. He's like really good at it. And then his other brother was one of those like during the silver rush out in Nevada, he was like appointed like governor of that territory or something. So they actually took like a stagecoach. This was before the railroad. They took a stagecoach for like 8 weeks to go out there. So he goes and it's a whole book called Roughing It, and he goes through like Utah. He writes a whole thing. It's basically like the Book of Mormon first. Like he's just making fun of how ridiculous all this stuff is, and how they have like 20 wives, and how it would be terrible because you have like one gift and then all the other 19 wives want the same thing, and how it's not practical for financially.
Bloody who wants 20 wives? I watch those shows and lifestyles like Sister Wives, where they have like 4 wives. Like I don't watch them religiously, but you see an advert or something like that. Who fucking... If you just have one wife and 19 affairs, like fucking hell, what are you doing? 20 wives. You have to live with them. I don't want 20 male friends living in me house.
I thought you liked this idea, though, because you have one you watch TV with.
Yeah, but this is the thing. I used to have this theory, right? You have one that you watch telly with, your telly wife, the sex wife, who's the best at that, cooking wife, one who does the bills, and then one who you go to when you're panicking about something to calm you down, right? And that's all your wives, because that's all I do with my wife, all those activities, right? Yeah. But then I reckon that
a driver wife.
One. No, I like driving. I have no problem there. I don't mind driving. Eventually, what I really need is a home repair wife, because I do those myself, and I'm not good at it.
You need a couple sex wives, though, because you'll get tired of having sex with one wife, and you got to have the other.
Now, the sex wife is open-minded and brings other wives in every now and again. Okay. she recruits them.
Other sex wives.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's a good plan.
Yeah, the threesome wife.
What was Mark Twain's relationship with Halley's Comet? Jim said he was the first to go to.
Oh yeah, you were way off on this. I thought you might. I thought he was almost gonna get that because he was doing the math. The math on it.
He was born the day that Halley's Comet was happening. There you go.
And
he liked it.
What about the end?
When he died when Halley's Comet came again, he died at 84 years of age.
Yeah.
No, 70. It was 74, right? It was a 75.
It's 76 or 70. 74. 74. Yeah.
Okay, so did it come in 84? Is that where I'm getting the number 84 from? When was the last time
I think so.
It was 35 he was born, and it was like he was born like 3 months after it came, and then
you have here he was born 2 weeks after Halley's Comet was seen.
Something like that.
And then he said he was gonna die, right?
Yeah, and like like the year before, he's like, I'm gonna die when the comet comes.
Halley's Comet comes about every 75 years.
When was the last one?
75 years. So he came in 1835. He was born.
86.
And then in 1909, the year before, he said, I'm gonna die next year when Halley's Comet comes, and he died the day after the comet came.
Okay, so I was 9 years old when Halley's Comet came, right? And my parents drove us out to this like field where there was a whole lot of people staring up, and everyone's like, there it is, there it is, there it is. I couldn't see it, and I just started lying.
Yeah.
I'm a kid. I'm like, I couldn't fucking
Jim, over here.
I couldn't fucking see this fucking thing. And so we stood out in this field for a couple of days. I think we camped or something. And then eventually my parents drove us home, and I fell asleep in the car. And my dad, when you're a little kid, my dad lifted me out of the car to bring me into the house type of thing, right? And I sort of woke up, and I looked up from our driveway and I fucking saw it. All that time in the fucking field, I could have just stayed home.
That's what happened to me in Alaska. The people go on the whale watching things for like 5 hours. I was just bored, and I just went to lunch at one of those places right in the pier. And then the guy's like, hey, they're doing the net. Like, do some like netting thing with bubbles to like get the fish come. And the thing jumps right out of the water like 5 feet from the sidewalk, and I was recording it at the time, so I'm like, all right, I just did it.
Whale watching is the most, out of any industry, is the biggest bunch of fucking shysters.
They tell you right away, like, you might not see anything.
And they're like this, we saw something, and then at the end you just see like a fin just break the water. And then I had one recently in Hawaii where they shoved a microphone down into the water. They shoved it down. We're going to listen. And then it was just, I reckon it was just a girl like at the other end of the boat going, because they're like, everyone was like, oh, we hear. I could have heard that on YouTube or some shit.
You know what else they do on that is they always tell you about the last time. Oh, we had a lot of whales out here last week.
A lot of whales in last
week was
so
good.
me and Reese Darby and some other comics, but I just remember Reese from this day. But we went whale watching in Cape Town, so you go all the way out, sort of out past Robben Island where Mandela was. And I got to give it up for Mandela. He would have seen some whales in his day. Like it wasn't
from prison, you mean?
It wasn't all bad. Yeah, that's a hell of a whale watching position. Anyway, so we go out. We see a couple of sea lions like on a buoy, just sort of like sunbaking, and we don't see anything. The water's all choppy. Everybody on the boat except for me and this one other girl is vomiting. It's the killing fields down in the bow of the boat. There's just rows and rows of people with bags, just like the water's rough. Everyone was vomiting. Reese was vomiting. Everyone was vomiting. And so everyone, and then they got back. We didn't see a single whale. And then the guy at the end had his fucking can out, the boat guy, asking for tips. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Everyone almost died, and you're just like, cha-ching.
Remember we did the field shoot for sharks in South Africa.
Yeah.
And we didn't see a single shark.
Yeah.
But then when we broke for lunch, we looked over the cliff, and then we just see a shit ton of whales.
Yeah.
It's like, that would have been nice when we were on the boat.
I know. I had to get into a shark cage, and they put chum in the water and everything, and then no sharks.
Just a
showed
sea
up.
lion.
And just a sea lion rocked up.
That's because they're all dead. What was Mark Twain's stance on social issues, particularly race? He said he would have been pro-race, anti-slavery, free-thinking kind of guy.
Yeah.
You were pretty good on that. Yeah. So when he went to Nevada, he was started writing just like shit stirring stuff in the paper to make people read. Like all his posters would be like, doors open at 7, trouble starts at 8, stuff like that. And so there was a guy who challenged him to a duel, which I guess he would have gotten arrested for if he participated in, but also he found out the guy was a really good shooter. So he took off and then went to San Francisco and started writing for the paper in San Francisco, and then was like appalled at how they were treating all the Chinese workers, and that like they would let the police would just watch them. So he like wrote a bunch of articles against the police there, and basically like ran himself out of San Francisco too. But he was against slavery, abolitionist, all that kind of stuff. So he was very like free thinking.
So nobody was writing that stuff?
But no. And the funny thing is, so when he was, I guess, I forget what age he would have been, but he enlisted in the Confederate Army.
Oh.
And so he was going to fight. It was like a couple weeks, and then it was against Ulysses S. Grant was the guy he was fighting, like his troops, and he just decided like, no way, I'm out of here. And so he basically deserted the Confederate Army, and then realized like later on it was a good choice. But then he wrote the biography of Grant later on, like saved his life.
Have we ever had a good movie biopic about Twain?
I don't know.
I don't think so. There's a guy who did like this one-man show about him. There's a famous Hal Holbrook, I think.
It sounds like it would be a good biopic, though, right? It sounds like it's.
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of movies like there's Huck Finn, Tom Sawyer.
No, we got movies of his books, but like following him through the Civil War and all that type of stuff.
Moving out west,
and it's a fun bit of Americana history. Not even about him as such, but we could follow.
Well, even for us, because it's like when he's traveling to all these places, it's kind of like we're doing it with comedy, because and then he goes from San Francisco, he goes to Hawaii, which was called the Sandwich Islands at the time, and so he's like telling people about Hawaii for the first time. And then on his way back, that's when he meets that dude who shows him like a picture of his family, and he's like, oh, your sister's hot, I want to meet her. And so that's when he actually like moves back east to New York to like meet this guy's sister and get married after he does all these crazy things.
Ken Burns did a documentary.
Yeah, but like an actual biopic, we could get. Yeah, okay, I'm going to say the best portrayal, is that the right word? Portrayal?
Could be.
Yeah. Of Mark Twain is Woody Harrelson in Cheers.
I think Val Kilmer did something like that one-man show.
Woody Harrelson's character, he's playing Mark Twain in a play and he can't get the makeup off and then he starts dating an old woman because she thinks he's old.
Yeah, there's Roughing It, which is kind of like you said, the story. There's a version of that part of his life, but not his whole life.
Yeah.
That was in 2002. They made it, but yeah.
Oh, they did make a movie?
They were called Roughing It with James Garner played Twain.
No, I don't remember that.
And it says a teenage Mark Twain travels to the American West during the gold rush days in search of fortune and his destiny. So they had that portion of his life, but not like I don't know. So.
But where did he get his sense of travel? Because, traveling's very hard back then. It's all going to be stagecoaches and boats and shit like that. And he seems to have travelled very far.
Well, that's the crazy thing is, so that first move west was on the stagecoach, and that was before the railroad. So, like, by the time he's moving back, the railroad's built. And he's just like, I can't imagine, like, doing it, how easy it would be now to do it on the train, And then that's when he ended up, when he moved east. I don't know where we are in this, but he tries to win over that woman.
You can go.
Let's have a look at this woman. Let's have a look at this woman. I want to see. I want to see if she's New York worthy.
You're talking about Olivia Langdon, right?
Yeah.
But
that makes sense though. Like if you did stagecoach first and then they invented trains, you'd be traveling then. You'd be like, oh, this is so easy now.
I even think, okay, so my parents in the 60s.
This is her.
Well, this is the picture that he went, she's so hot I have to move to New York.
I don't know.
That's not bad.
I mean,
Yeah.
But also, she was like high class, like big money, high class kind of thing. So he was.
That's not a good picture of her, but.
Like I said, my parents in the 60s, right? The 60s isn't that long ago, right?
Right.
Okay.
Air travel. So a mere 10 years before I was born, my parents met each other in London, England. And to get over there, boat from Australia. 2 weeks.
That's crazy.
2 weeks on fucking boats. And they're not like luxury cruises like we have now.
Yeah.
Sleeping in bunk beds with other people that they've just met type of thing,
Right.
And it's like, that's just the fucking 60s, man.
Well, that's the Van Halens they were on Holland America. The dad was like an entertainer on like a cruise ship and put them in the band, and that's how they got to Pasadena. That was like paid for their trip. And
what?
Yeah. There's like pictures of Eddie and Alex like in some dining room on the boat as they're like crossing.
Oh, wow.
Are they're from England? Or where?
They're from Holland, I think.
Holland?
Oh, yeah, Holland.
Van Halen.
They're well, the
What am I fucking thinking?
the dad's Dutch, but the mom is Filipino, I think.
Right.
Yeah, what I'm saying though makes sense even with the ship though. If you're stagecoach, and then there's a train and shit, that you're like, this is luxury. For us, we'd be like, fuck this, we're not taking a train cross country. But if you,
I don't know. I've
you'd start traveling.
I started to look at a few Instagram posts of people taking the train rides with the sleeping carriages and all that type of stuff. It's like 24 hours to get to Seattle. And I'm thinking maybe that might be something fun to do with my next Seattle gig. I get on the train and just have a look.
On the way back too?
No, I'll do it one way.
One way, yeah.
And I'll eat in the food cart and I'll sleep in the thing. And it's like a sleeping carriage is like $500. And it's like, I don't know, it might be an adventure.
I did it in Canada once. I did Montreal to Toronto, and it was like a day. And it was fun. It was fine, but it was like, I don't know if I could do that for a week.
There's a train that goes from Sydney to Perth, and that's the equivalent of New York to LA, and the Indian Pacific, and it goes across the middle of the country. And most of the things you're seeing out the window are just red dirt, right?
Yeah.
And there's and most people can't afford to have the sleeping carriage or anything like that, but there's one carriage that they might as well just call the everyone's on drugs carriage. And it's all just British backpackers who are just like, fucking yeah, let's do this, man.
They're just drinking
and they're
the whole time.
non-stop party carriage.
Yeah, the only problem with the trains is once you get there, you're at a train station.
Right.
And the infrastructure isn't as good as an airport. It's okay.
Oh, it's way better than an airport or train. Well, at least in Britain, because I'm
talking about America. I don't know what
you end
America's
up in the
like.
middle of the city, and there's a cab rank, and there's no
Europe. Fine.
Like you get on that train from London out to Paris, you're in the middle of Paris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the best. You go under the water in a train. like every time there's so Sydney, I know we're going off target, but so Sydney had the Sydney Harbour Bridge forever. Now the biggest problem is biggest harbour in the world, so you can't have a grid system in Sydney because there's too many peninsulas and stuff like that. There has to be a little one. It's a kind of a place to drive around Sydney, and so to make it better, they put more bridges. But when I was a kid, it was just the Sydney Harbour Bridge, and that was really basically it. And then they put a tunnel underneath the bridge, is similar to the one in London. So you might remember those moments like when the British workers and the French workers, they cracked through the wall and then a finger came through and they touched each other and they were, because they didn't know for sure that they were going to meet up.
Yeah.
My whole childhood was my dad just talking about how there's no fucking chance in the world that those two tunnels are going to match up. The fucking government's going to fuck this up. This bloody country's gone to the dogs. Right? Then when it happened, he uses it every day now.
Did you say Mark Twain wrote a book about Australia? Or?
Yeah. So
What?
that's like, yeah. He
Did he ever go to Australia? Or?
yeah, it's fascinating, man. Like I didn't even know. I read Roughing It, but then I didn't know that he was like making fun of the Mormons. Like he read the Mormon Bible just to make fun of it, basically. And so he did in Hawaii. I didn't know about, and then so basically the other thing is he becomes friends with all these inventors because he's trying to invent stuff. So he's friends with Tesla. He's friends with Edison. There's even like a film that Edison, like one of the first films, is Mark Twain just smoking a cigar at his house. Like he asked him if he could use that. And so he invented all this stuff, but he just made all these like bad investments. So then he ends up like his wife was rich and she's like, you got to pay back all your debts. And he's like, I just want to declare bankruptcy. And they're like, no. Put together like this world tour and then everyone will see that you pay back your debts and all this kind of stuff. So he did, I think, 150 countries. And so
countries.
Yeah, and so that's what's considered the
I always
first.
thought there was only like 180 countries in total.
It's like 200 and
Is there?
40 something. Yeah.
Right.
Or 100, it's 150 dates. I think it was different countries, but it was like the first stand-up tour. He had 6 15-minute lectures basically, and so he just had like 6 sets. So he would do a couple shows.
He's coming out and doing 15 minutes.
Well,
No, but like chunks. 15-minute chunks. Yeah.
Okay,
Like
yeah, no, that's a
stories.
good show. That's a good show.
yeah.
That's a good
but he
show.
would do like.
Who was his opener?
But that was when he was like, because I read Willie Nelson's biography too, and he was 59 when he declared bankruptcy, and the IRS was after him, and it was kind of like the same thing. And then Twain just became more famous after all the trouble.
But then he wrote a book on Australia, you said?
Yeah, it's called Wayward. Yeah, it's the. I think the quote is famous because he said, God created the harbor in Sydney, but Satan created the city, or something like that. It's like a famous quote.
The Wayward Tourist.
Wayward Tourist,
Twain's
yeah.
Adventures in Australia.
You would have gone down to King's Cross probably.
And I guess Australian people love it, but you never read it.
I never
So.
heard of it, but I'm not. Well, look, we do this podcast because I'm not very intelligent, but no, I never even knew he went to Australia.
Yeah, he went everywhere, and there's a quote like he did the Sea of Galilee, like and then the boat was like really expensive, and the joke was just like, I know now why Jesus walked on water. You know what I mean? And it's just like, that's a 200-year-old joke. That's pretty good.
Well, back then they wouldn't have even had the bridge. It would have been a kind of a place to get around. If you were on this bit here and you wanted to get to that bit there, oh no, boats only.
And then Olivia Langdon is who he married, right? But and you said she was rich. You just mentioned all that stuff. She was high society.
Yeah, so the funny thing, so they're high society, so he's after her for like 2 years, like trying to like win her over. And so they're like, you need 2 character references. So he had to get like 2 guys to like write letters to their parents saying like how good he was. And then one of them said he lives a drunkard's life. And 2 of them, or the other guy said he's bound to be hanged or something like that.
But if you want to have a good night out, I once saw him bang 4 chicks at once.
He's a good dinner party, I guess. But yeah. All right. His friends. What other famous literary friends did he have? Jim said Roald Dahl. I don't even know who that is.
Roald Dahl wrote Willy Wonka and the
yeah,
Charlie,
BFG,
Charlie and
Matilda.
Chocolate Factory, the Twits.
yeah, now I remember,
He's
yeah,
a
Roald
very
Dahl.
famous
British, I
Matilda.
think,
So other famous writers and friends are acquainted. You said Tesla and
Well,
Edison are
Tesla,
famous people.
yeah, Tesla apparently when he was really sick, read all Twain stuff, and that's like what got him through it. So he always like wanted to like
What did
repay
Tesla
him.
invent besides the wah 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 machine?
Well, I mean that's the whole reason that Twain was so fired up about. Like he tried to invent the typesetting machine and invested like $200,000, which is like a crazy amount of money, and he just missed it. Like I think he did the wrong patent, or somebody else did the
somebody
next
else
one.
did it.
And then
So Tesla fucked him.
No, it wasn't Tesla. It was like it was just him picking the wrong thing. Like he's just so bad with money, and he was making so much money. He's like by far the best-selling author, and he just made so many bad decisions. And the one,
Drink liquid death.
the one, what was the? He had the first private residence telephone, and they
What's
asked.
the point of that? Can't call you one.
And they,
Toss one in the house.
and they said, they asked him if he wanted to invest in that, and he said no. And that's the one that would have
Yeah.
made him like
And it was the
$1 billion.
typewriter that he was into, was it?
Yeah, because he was trying to figure out like printing press stuff. So he invented some weird. It wasn't even like I think it was the original typewriter. When was that? Because he did some like odd version of a typewriter that just wasn't quite right, and he just kept investing in all these bad things and just kept losing money.
I own a typewriter. It's a fun thing. Every now and again, I get there and go.
How do you have one?
I bought one.
Read it.
Yeah, just
What, at a
100
hipster garage sale or something?
Just $100. I just
I
bought
like
one.
the question was, how do you have one?
No, I bought one. At parties, sometimes I'll put it there with a bit of paper, and people can write little messages to
did
the
it for-
birthday person.
For Charlie's, was it the baby shower?
The baby shower, yeah. So the baby shower, you could write messages to the baby. And there's something about, like, if I'm in trouble with the wife or something, and I write her a little typed out message, it's even better than a handwritten one, because it's just there's something artistic about it.
And it's there forever.
This is the things that it says. This is a thoughtco.com article, and this says this is what Mark Twain invented. Inventor of the bra strap.
What?
Why would he do such a thing?
But I think it was for men and women. The bra strap was intended to use
bro.
use the tighten shirts at the
man's
waist.
ear?
It was
Wasn't that-
supposed to take place in suspenders. Instead of suspenders, you tighten the
Suspenders are a weird one. Suspenders only work on the extremely fat or the extremely thin.
Yeah, yeah. You can't be. I'm not fat enough.
Yeah.
Because I tried to wear them one time and it's not.
No, because
good.
you're still putting your gut over the top of your belt.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Right.
Yeah, you have to put it over
There's
your
a
gut.
moment with fatness when you go, and now I'm an over.
Yeah.
Right? You go from a 33 to a 68. Just overnight, you go, I'm a 68 waist. And that's when the suspenders come back into play. When you go over the gut.
I don't think it's a good look at any point, though.
I just feel like
it's only for Mork and Mindy. Was
I
the
just
only
feel
guy who
like
wore
one
suspenders.
moment where the clip comes off and then bang, you lose a tooth.
And then this says he also made the self-pasting scrapbook.
Scrapbook, yeah.
Self-pasting?
So you'd peel off a thing, it would be a layer of glue, and then
Yeah.
you just go.
It said it
that's
made
what
him
you do, right?
$50,000 from that alone back in 1885. So that's,
He wanted to just collect articles and things from different places, I guess.
and then it said failed investment was the page typesetting machine.
Yeah.
Made several $100,000, as you were saying, on a machine. It was he never able to get it
$200,000 back in
correctly.
that day. It's like $20 million.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
like people made like
Yeah.
$1,800 a year back then.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
And in the stroke of bad time, is all you're saying is Twain was trying to get the page machine up and running. The far superior lineotype machine came along, and then he was fucked. So that.
So it's like how Bono invested in Palm Pilot.
Oh yeah, the BlackBerry.
Yeah. Bono put a lot of money into the Palm Pilot.
No. Well,
I forgot about
Bitcoin.
that.
That's
the
why.
residency.
That's why he's like, yeah, we'll do some more at this fair.
And so, he was friends with Tesla, and it says Helen Keller. You said, or
Yeah, so
Did
he.
she know they were friends?
Yeah. So I forget he either helped her with something, but the teacher who he's the one that coined the phrase the miracle worker for the teacher.
Oh, Twain did,
and that's
yeah.
what all
Because
the
I used to do a joke about this. They used to put her hand under water And then on the other hand, they would sign language the word water over and over again until eventually she went water. Which leads me to ask the question, how did they teach her the word fisting?
Yeah. I remember this joke. What was Mark Twain's relationship with Theodore Roosevelt? He said he finger banged him behind a trailer.
Yeah, I'm really, I've gone, since Kelly's been gone, I've really gone a rogue on this podcast.
I think you would have said that with Kelly here.
Yeah, but she would have frowned.
I think I said Jesus or something.
Jesus?
Like, oh,
Like
God.
he was offended.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I'm
right.
trying to level it out a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did look a little appalled.
So what happened with Roosevelt? What did he do?
Well, yeah, he used to be critical of him, like, you know, in the press, you know, and then I think when they actually met, he considered him like kind of a buffoon because he was like a hunter, like he always get pictures of himself on the horse and all that kind of stuff. So he always kind of made fun of him. And then I guess when they actually met and hung out, he really liked him.
That happens so much, so isn't it?
Yeah.
I won't say any names, but sometimes there's comedians where you're like, that fucking guy, and then you spend 10 minutes in the dressing room and he's a good guy.
Yeah.
This person's all right. And I bet you there's people who've had the same experience with me, both in opposite directions.
Yeah. I said sometimes it was the other way.
I reckon he'll be awesome. Oh, he's a cunt.
It happens both ways. Yeah. Were people critical of the president? I mean, he was super famous, I guess.
But
so
all
being critical of the
presidents, there's
president.
people critical.
But
there's never been
Mark
a president
Twain was-
where everyone's like, that guy's killing it.
But Mark Twain would be as famous as Brad Pitt now, right? I mean, he'd be that level of celebrity, I'm assuming.
Yeah, but without seeing him on film all the time. He was a columnist, didn't he? So it's just like, Brad Pitt's not famous for his columns.
But he's also considered like the first modern like celebrity, like just famous for being famous. Like everyone knew, oh, he's got the mustache, the white hair, white
that
coat.
was so his legacy beyond his literary works. You were saying that he was the first.
Did the women go crazy? Was it that level of fame?
There is a weird thing later on that, well, he had a couple tough, like I think his parents both died young. That's why he started traveling. And then his brother died. And then I think his marriage, one of his daughters, so when he did that big tour, the world tour, one of his daughters died during that stretch.
Right.
And that kind of like dumped him out. And then his wife died early. So like his last 5 years, he's just like this old famous guy with nobody to talk to. So he just like, you know.
Oh, I feel for him now.
Yeah. He had like, there's this, I think they called him Angelfish or something. So they're like his like honorary like granddaughters who he'd like write letters to or send things to or something like that. Like he just seemed like, and that's why he did that thing about the comet. He's just like, I'm ready to go out when it comes back through. I mean, he wrote a better quote about it, but he is one of the guys that, like, you know how people try to give you quotes from people and you're like, oh, that's fucking stupid, but he's got like some quotes that actually
can we bring
make
up
sense.
Can we bring up like his top 10 quotes?
You
There's a few in
you
there.
guys have wrote some quotes in here. Paul wrote some in here. Never argue with stupid people. They will drag you down to their level and beat you with experience.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
That's the fucking truth. Because I did that the other day on the internet. About once every 3 years, literally once every 3 years, I go, I'm going to comment on this thing.
Yeah.
And then they all come after me, and I'm like, and then I try to reason with people. And what am I doing?
Yeah. Just a
Why am I
moron.
reasoning with this fucking idiot?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, Mark Twain. Nailed it.
Here's another Mark Twain quote. Keep away from people who try to belittle your ambitions. Small people always do that, but they're really great, make you feel that you too can become great.
Not funny, but factual.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, true statement.
He did. It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog. It's like it's a huge quote.
Yeah.
Everyone says that. It's crazy.
Well, I don't know about that. Not anymore.
Is that in Australia?
No, we
They
that way.
translate that one?
We say the same.
Here's a
We
couple
say
more. Here's a
dingo.
couple more that Paul. Here's a couple more that Paul wrote in the doc, and then I'll.
It's not the size of the dingo.
He also did that joke.
It's how big the dingo's dick is.
He did that joke, what's better than eating a mandarin?
a woman's rear end.
Amanda out. Is that
Is that what it is? No, is that? That's not his joke. Is
No,
it?
that's not his joke, but that's what I always like. It only works in the accent, so I'd let you say it.
Oh, I've never heard that one.
You never heard that joke before?
No.
You say it.
What's better than eating Amanda in?
Yeah.
Amanda out.
No, eating Amanda out.
Eating Amanda out.
Yeah.
I don't know. It still works.
Yeah, it works. The accent's better. Yeah. So these aren't the other three that Paul wrote in here aren't necessarily funny, but they're okay. The two most important days of your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why.
Yeah, I've heard that quote. Yeah, that's everyone says that in their marriage vows.
Yeah.
They do it and now I found out my why and all that. Yeah.
Give every day a chance to become the most beautiful day in your life.
All right. Fucking hell. Gee, someone was on the happy pills that day.
How about this? Life is short. Break the rules. Forgive quickly. Kiss slowly. Love truly. Laugh uncontrollably. Never regret anything that makes you smile.
And dance like no one's watching.
Yeah,
That's right.
He apparently did a lot of quotes that are on wine glasses now. I'm gonna try and find some funny with like Mark Twain.
No, there's a ton of funny ones. It's just it is amazing how many, I guess when you just are used to writing every day, they just compile all these, and then it's just like, oh man, this guy had a whole body of work,
Yeah. Let's see.
I'll have the soup is one of his ones.
But nobody has any quotes anymore, though. Like, what year did people start being quotable, you think?
Well, most things have been said, I guess, but maybe not. I try not to be a cunt, which is just
How about
not
this?
going to stand the test of time, is it?
If you pick up a starving dog and make him prosperous, he will not bite you. This is the principal difference between a dog and a man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, true that.
It's wisdom.
True that. True that.
If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you read the newspaper, you're misinformed.
Boom, shakalaka.
And that's the thing when you think about it, this is like 1880 or whatever he's coming up with this stuff. That's why I'm always amazed what stands the test of time, because you're just like...
Well, this one doesn't because it's... Okay, good friends, good books, and a sleepy conscience. This is the ideal life. You would replace this with television.
I love TV.
Good friends, good TV, and a sleepy conscience. This is the ideal life.
All you need is telly.
Oh, the other thing is
Quote
kind of
John Lennon.
fascinating about his... he smoked cigars. Like, he smoked so many cigars that, like, even that 30-second movie with Edison, he's smoking a cigar.
Yeah.
So they say average, this is like at the museum, average cigars, how many would you guess he smoked a day?
It's going to be high, but I can't imagine anyone smoking more than one a day. But I've never understood cigars.
Me neither.
I understood cigarettes, but I never understood cigars because they're so heavy, and it stinks. And I was in Vegas, and I just saw a bloke just walking along with a big suit and a pinky ring, and and I'm like, "You fucking 30 cunt! Stop trying to look like you're from Dick Tracy." I'm going to say 6.
40.
No, there's no way. There's no way in the world that someone could smoke 40 cigarettes. There's not enough hours in the day.
So,
that means that he's lighting the cigars off each other. That's his air then.
and he did have a company that, like, he was also the first guy, like, he's like, I'll do an ad for anything as long as you pay me money.
Okay, so a heavy to light smoker is 20 cigarettes a day, and 20 cigarettes is a packet of cigarettes, right? That when I smoked, that was a cigarette an hour while you're awake.
Yeah.
While you're, and then then you had some drinks, and then you had 2 or 3 in that hour while you were drinking alcohol, right?
Right.
But then the rest of it was 1 an hour, maybe. So 40 cigarettes.
No, 40 cigars.
40 cigars. So let's say, what is the mean time to smoke a cigar? 15 minutes?
I don't know.
To smoke a cigar entirely?
I have no clue.
Right? Maybe more. 15 minutes.
At least, yeah.
Yeah, and so he's doing at least 2 an hour while he's awake. So there was less time when he was not smoking than when he was smoking. Smoking was more...
He probably is smoking while he shits.
Like
5-inch
showering.
cigar takes about 20 to 30 minutes.
He's smoking nonstop. He's lighting them off each other.
But you're thinking, I think these are different
And he
cigars.
lived to his 70s?
75. And the funny thing is, so his most productive years were, I think it was his sister-in-law. They're living on this farm, and it's close to where I grew up. That's how I know about a lot of stuff. But they built him this, like, writing, it's like a gazebo, basically. And so, because they didn't want him to smoke inside.
Yeah.
So he basically just spent all his time in there writing. And he wrote, I think, 10 books in that place, and he's just, like, smoking nonstop. So with that, I totally understand, like, some, like, it's just like drinking, you know what I mean?
What was his teeth like?
Babalu Cigar Company loves Mark Twain's quotes and salute one of the best cigar smokers of all. Oh, this is like just quotes about it.
Oh.
If smoking is not allowed in heaven, I shall not go. I make it a rule to never smoke while I'm sleeping. But here's some other funny ones too. There was God created war so the Americans would learn geography. Age is an issue of mind over matter. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. And then clothes make the man. Naked people have little or no influence on society.
True that.
But there's, I think, an Ernest Hemingway quote is about like all American literature comes from one book by Mark Twain called Huck Finn.
Yeah. Here's one where I like.
Why is Huck Finn so good? What makes it so good? Is it just a great adventure? Is it a thing? But is there something that it was saying about society when it was written that was revolutionary? Why was it so good?
I think it's also just the description, because it's just, turn of phrase, reading something that's like a common person could read instead of, some elite people. So I think it was just more of like middle of the road, like everyone can enjoy this story, and I'm not going to write it in a way that's alienating people. And so I think that's what Hemingway learned too, because his stuff is very like newspaper, like simple words, short syllables. Actually, Twain is like a little more, he uses like some crazy words, but yeah, I think that's the main thing, is that it was just more relatable. You know what I mean? It wasn't about a king.
Yeah, this is saying too, it was a pragmatic approach to like, but it shows like the character's inner struggles, which probably wasn't. I mean, I don't know about literature before.
Yeah,
that,
people didn't talk about problems.
Yeah, they weren't talking about, like, you wouldn't see it, you wouldn't get to know those characters and turn like that. And then, in sense, we're talking about that as well, which was, it's kind of like why you like TV and shit like that is like because of the way that scripts and stuff are written. That's how they're written now, because otherwise you wouldn't watch a show where you didn't learn anything about the person, or their problems or issues or any of that shit. So
yeah, and they can be either likable or not likable. There's certain
books before that were probably just like, just very matter of fact. There was definitely books.
And I don't know if it's him. There's one quote about how kids love horrible people. So as long as you put like a horrible person in the story, kids will always love it, because it's like, think of like Eric Cartman or somebody like
people. We like gross out stuff when you're little kids. Yeah.
Yeah. But anybody who says like mean stuff to other people, like kids eat
and
that
also,
up.
so especially, I don't know, little kids like whenever they see a smaller person going on an adventure where they're not in, where they have their own power of movement. You know what I mean? Where they're just like, I'm going to go over here and freedom.
Like Dora the Explorer.
Kids don't have freedom. Kids have no freedom. That's what, like He-Man, the secret source was the sentence, I have the power. Right? Because kids have no power. Right? And then to get the smallest amount of, like, if you leave my 2-year-old to his own devices, he'll break something or tear something down, because it's like, he's got to get his fix. You know what I mean?
Right,
so I got to go in the pantry and tear something down, because I know if someone was watching me, I won't be allowed to do this.
Right.
It also says it was one of the first novels to utilize a regional vernacular and document like realism and that kind of stuff.
So I think the goal is to like get you to start quoting Twain instead of He-Man in certain conversations. So then,
can you remember any of the
That's
quotes?
gonna be tough.
it makes you more eligible for the award, I feel like.
I feel like I was more quoting the prince that becomes He-Man, Prince Adam.
Well, remember this one. Never argue with stupid people. They will drag you down to their level and beat you with experience.
Yeah.
That's one you can remember. You like?
I know that one. You said that earlier.
I know, but do you remember it?
No.
We talked about the abolitionist movie. I think we did most of the Nevada Territory. I didn't ask that question, but you mentioned it.
It was basically like the silver rush. He was out there and he was just terrible. Didn't find anything, but then started writing for the newspapers and stuff.
Religion and
I don't
spirituality.
feel like anyone found anything.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like anyone got like. There's no families here that are like, and then his dad, what during the California Gold Rush made all this money, and now they're sitting pretty, and it's like, it doesn't feel like anyone made anything.
Yeah.
And then we said he was an atheist about religion, spirituality.
Well, the other great quote is, if Jesus came back today, the last thing he would be is a Christian. Which is like that became like a famous quote.
I've heard that quote too. He does have a lot of quotes. Yeah.
Why don't you think he'd be a Christian?
Because they bastard
he'd be in charge of the whole thing.
Yeah, but he wouldn't like what.
That's like saying if Hitler came back today, he wouldn't be a Nazi. For sure, he would be. He probably wouldn't hang out with the modern day Nazis.
They're scary.
Yeah. He's like, what's all these shaved head guys? We used to wear such lovely suits.
Cool mustaches.
Don't shave your head off. Push it down across your forehead.
Have it look wet all the time.
Nobody liked my mustache. I thought that was what was going to catch on.
Tattoos.
Why are we all still doing that one? Why have you got tattoos on?
Yeah. So what would his segment?
What's with these Dr. Martin boots?
Dr.
Poor Dr. Martin. All he did was try to help fucking kids with club feet. And the bloody Nazis took over the boots.
Wait, that's where they were started?
Yeah, no, Dr. Martin was a real doctor. It was the first shoe with air soles in them. Could have used that in the shoe podcast the other day. But Dr. Martin invented air in soles, and this was long before Nike started doing it. But just like very thin little bits of air.
Air Nazis.
Well, I'm fascinated by the because the brothers, the
Puma and Adidas.
Yeah. That story is amazing.
And Adidas's name was Adolf.
Yeah,
and Rudolph, Adolf and Rudolph,
because they were living together, and the one family went to the bomb shelter and didn't tell the other family. That's why he always thought the dude was on the other side.
Yeah, all right.
Oh, is that what? Oh, I didn't know that part.
Because nobody knows how it started, but the one guy actually fought in the war, and the other guy was like maybe he likes the Nazis.
So we did that. We did the atheist. You were saying he was an atheist, right? That was.
Well, he would read all the Bibles, but then would figure out like who stole what from who and all that kind of stuff, and analyze it and see all the hypocrisy and everything.
It's funny. I used to do a joke years ago when I first started comedy. 25 years ago, I used to do a joke, and I used to be so plucky with my youth. Where I was like this, I used to be on stage trying to be all edgy and Bill Hicksy about religion or whatever like that. And I remember going, look, I've read the Bible from cover to cover, and I'll tell you this, and I obviously I haven't, I haven't read the Bible from cover, but I have tried to read the Bible several times. I reckon I've done 150 pages of the Bible.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it's just
garbage.
So disjointed. It's just like, I thought we were in the middle of a story now, and now you're giving a quote for something else. What's going on? Nothing seems to flow.
Yeah, no, it's like, anyone that reads it every day, it's like,
Mark 13,
on the third day of
verse chapter 7.
Wow. I know the book is sectioned out so many times.
And God said to me, unneth the something.
Thus says the Lord,
That's good.
Lo, I am about to create new heavens and a new earth. The things of the past shall not be remembered or come to mind. Instead, there shall always be rejoicing and happiness in what I create. For I create Jerusalem to be a joy.
Yeah,
fun.
I've been to Jerusalem.
Yeah.
It's,
They haven't fixed it up since Jesus was there.
it's not a joyous place, Jerusalem.
Yeah.
Is there a beach, or what's the?
No, there's a beach in Tel Aviv, in Israel.
Tel Aviv, yeah, lots of beaches.
Tel Aviv has a beach, yeah. And Tel Aviv, nice-looking Israeli women, man. Gal Gadot's as far as the eye can see, very nice. But Jerusalem is a very religious place, as you could imagine.
Yeah.
But in saying that, it's got all the major religions living, not like that are from that region. All the major religions living next door to each other. That's the only section where like the Muslims and the Christians and the Jews are all just hanging out together in one marketplace. And
you know the wall? You've never been there?
The Wailing Wall.
So you know the wall where people put the notes in, the Wailing Western Wall? I think they call it?
The Western Wall.
Yeah.
The Wailing.
So first of all, it's men and women divided, but so only men can go on the left side, and women have to go to the right, and then...
And they make you wear like a Jewish hat when you go in there.
You have to cover your head, yeah.
Which incidentally, I think was invented because one bloke was bald.
Right.
Who was high up.
He had the Sam Malone.
He just had the bit at the back. Yeah, and he went, God wants us to do that.
So when you're at that wall, I was trying to pull up a picture, but when you're at that wall, there's like it looks like a jetway for an airplane, you know, that's like going over the wall. You line up and you go on top of the wall and over that, and that is where the Muslim area is. I'm talking about on top of that wall, where there's like olive trees and all stuff, and there's this big temple, and that's where I think Muhammad ascended. I might be getting names wrong, but I don't know anything about religion. But someone ascended there. So that's how close it is.
Oh wow!
Like it's literally on top of that.
And then like there's like a
So
city.
it's like the old Yankee Stadium and the new one, right? Next
There's
to
like Hasidic Jews in, I would say, 110 degrees of heat, wearing big fur jackets and those woolly hats, like madness. Where you just like, and they're giving you the yarmulkes to wear before you go up to the wall.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, are you comfortable? Yes, I like this.
Yeah, look, see, so you can see the temple right there. That's the wall right there where everybody, and then that's the temple right there. It's like everything's on top of each other. And like this is where everybody was. So that's a lot of tension.
There's a lot of tension there, but anyway.
Well, I started like it wasn't because of Mark Twain, but like just because of stories. You know, we did Switzerland and Amsterdam one year. Me and Ari Shafir.
Yeah.
And we were like, we should just do like 2 new countries a year instead of like going back to Indianapolis every year. You know what I mean?
Gonna be in Des Moines.
No offense, Des Moines. But yeah, so since then I try to do 2 new countries. So I just did Tokyo 2 weeks ago for the first time.
Oh, it's a banger. We did Tokyo last year.
Oh yeah,
It's a banger.
Did we talk? Oh no, we talked about Bangkok. But yeah, I'm going back to Bangkok. There's a new club in Bangkok now, so we're going back there next month.
Did you play Toomler in Holland when you said you were going?
Yes.
Yeah, Toomler's a fun gig, man. It's a fun gig.
That was amazing. We did the Montreux Comedy Festival, Montreux, Switzerland, which was like amazing. That's where the Freddie Mercury statue on the lake. That's where they recorded Under Pressure with Bowie. So I just get more out of traveling. Like it inspires your mind, and you know you just come up with so many.
And the gigs
things.
pay the same as the gigs here, and you get to go to like I lived in Britain for 10 years. And I probably went and gigged in Holland 6 times in 10 years. And I was like, it was a 40-minute flight. And I was like, why the fuck was I not there 5 times a year?
Yeah.
What was wrong with me?
It's like Vegas.
But because my brain, I got to get on a plane. And then I moved to America and I'm like, I should have been in Holland all the time.
Yeah, you got to get on a plane for everything here.
Yeah.
So this is a part of our show called Dinner Party Facts. I think you've already said these, though. We ask our guests to give some facts, obscure, interesting, that can use to impress people. Because I see the phone things here.
Yeah, the phone thing.
The cigar things in here.
If you ever see the movie, if you can watch that afterwards, the short movie of him. Just like Edison's like, we want you like on film, because they were worried like nobody would even have like evidence of him, because I don't think there's any audio recordings.
But that's how do we know? See, I've always thought this about Lincoln. Oh, did he meet Lincoln?
He didn't meet Lincoln, but they did, I guess, write. I think they wrote back and forth, but he never got to meet him.
Because when you see...
He was kind of on the other side, so I guess maybe...
When you see an animatronic of Lincoln, or if you see Daniel Day-Lewis as Lincoln... You get this 407 years ago, but there's no recording. And even Mark Twain, it's always like every time I see him, they always do like a lip smacking sort of.
Yeah.
The rumors of my death have been widely exaggerated. Like no one fucking knows, but that seems to be the gist.
Right.
It's a commercial right now, but it says the only footage of Mark Twain in existence, 1 minute 47 seconds. Thomas Edison at Mark Twain's estate in 1909, so it was right before he died.
Right. And he's smoking a cigar. That was the funny part.
Well,
and they still put in brackets underneath Samuel Clements.
There he is. He's just standing there, all white. Yeah. He's got a cigar in his hand there. Yeah. Then he just walks off screen. And now he's walking around his land. See, I'm smoking a cigar. Yeah, that's him.
Yeah, he's a dude. He kept himself trim.
Yeah.
But he lived to 75, man. That's kind of like the George Burns thing. You know, he was smoking until he was 103 or something.
No,
like
George Burns died like a day before he turned 100 or some shit.
Oh, is that it? I thought he made it.
Okay, so the AFL The AFL, which is the Australian Football League, which is a sport that it would take me all day to explain to you, right? But it's a sport that's only played in Australia, right? Not played anywhere else. And they did an ad campaign. Yeah, they do. They do that way.
He made it to 100.
And they do an ad
Just
campaign
barely.
where it goes. They used to go, "You're unbelievable," and then they show the marks, right? They had that song, right?
And you knew that was Andrew Dice Clay, right? When you were a kid, did you know that's him?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
I never knew that.
So unbelievable. They even have him saying that. Isn't that funny?
Oh, wow, I never knew it was
And I
him.
don't think he gets money for that. And I think he missed the boat because that is still playing a lot.
Oh, someone,
fuck yeah.
someone sent me the other day that someone is that one company is using me for their hair transplant commercials.
What do you mean, your face?
Yes.
That you should be getting money for
I'm
that.
fucking. Amos sent it to me. He's like, "You got to sue," and I'm like, I don't know if I can be bothered. Doesn't feel like fucking.
Well, the thing is, once it gets stolen once, then other people will do it. So you got.
But then I sue them all. I sue them all. I go after all. Here it is. A company called Mosh. It's Mosh Hair Transplants.
Yeah, you should be getting. That's your image.
That's
That's the image of you, but you're on a talk show. So
I'm on my talk show talking about how I've lost my hair, but I've had a transplant, right?
Right.
And but not with this company. I didn't.
But it looks good in the picture, though. So that's why they want to.
Yeah. So at least we know that. But like, look, Mosh, you got to do better work than this.
You were.
I
telling
haven't
us-
fixed it, Mosh. Mosh, use this for your ad campaign. Nailed it.
That's there.
Yeah, barely.
Were you done with the EMF? You were saying something about EMF, but
So George Burns they had an ad campaign, and this is why I know that he must have just turned 100. He was like 5 days into being 100 or something like that, right?
It was like 2 months.
Yeah, because the thing was, so the league had just turned 100 years old, and then everyone's like this, like they have some female celebrity go, oh, men in short shorts? I'd like to see that, right? Or that's unbelievable because of the song. That's unbelievable, right?
Okay.
And then it had George Burns just, and he goes, this league's almost as old as me? That's unbelievable. And then he was like dead the next day.
he did do that with a cigar.
He always looked like a monkey. He looked like if you put George Burns and a fucking chimp next to him, George Burns was a shaved down chimp.
Yes.
I used to love that movie though.
Oh, God.
Oh God.
Yeah.
With John Denver.
Yeah, John Denver, isn't that?
John Denver.
Dusseldorf.
Shit.
Yeah, it was John Denver did very little acting, and he did Oh God.
I have to go back and look at that. I remember as a kid, I used to love that fucking movie. Like I don't.
There's like 3 of them.
Yeah, there's Oh God 2 or Oh God. There was always a.
Oh, Carl Reiner directed it.
What was it?
Yeah, it was like a big movie.
I'm gonna have to watch that
Larry
movie
Gelbart
again.
wrote it? Damn.
Oh God Book 2.
It was John Denver, right? I'm not wrong there, right?
I'll find out.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it is there. It's just in the credits
Yeah.
right there. Yeah,
Because he's the guy who sees him, right?
That Oh God You Devil.
Oh, God, you devil. I remember that. That was the 3rd.
I gotta watch.
That's when they didn't make sequels back then. They would just make the one movie.
George
But then they're
Burns.
like, we got to get George before he...
There must have been a George Burns body swap film where him and like a 19-year-old
I think
and
there
George,
was one.
George was skateboarding or something.
I don't remember now. I remember watching my grandmother liked George Burns, so I always watched.
Oh,
George
no,
Burns.
there was one 19.
Yeah.
It was
That's what I'm saying.
91.
That's what I'm saying,
He
yeah.
was on one side of the candles. This is how your brain
That's
was.
what I'm saying. Yeah.
And I want to say, was it the kid off fucking Growing
18
Pains?
again.
Who plays 18 again? So he was 80,
Yeah.
he was 81, and the other kid was on the
I
other
see.
side of the candles.
Yeah, I like this.
And
There
they-
you go. There you go. Right there.
And who was the kid? Who was the 18-year-old?
Jonathan Prince.
Oh, I don't know who he is.
But I remember this movie too. I was a Burns head. He was in Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band as Mr. Kite.
Probably.
Oh, I thought was he on the cover or something? They put a lot of random people on that cover.
They put a lot of people there.
All right. Well, did we do the dinner party? Well, you
We
already
did.
did. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. So we're.
I think he's like,
Yeah.
he lived the travel life, drinking, womanizing, became a writer, lived that, like, basically on the road before on the road.
How many illegitimate children?
I think They don't.
You didn't put that in.
There is a funny thing that he writes home to his buddy and asks for condoms in one letter, but then they try to like make that like disappear a little bit. But I don't think he had any children come out illegitimate, but he had 3 daughters, and I think 2 of them died of like one of those weird 1800s.
Clara Clemens, Susie Clemens, Jean Clemens, and then there's a Langdon Clemens.
Roger Clemens.
All right, well, Paul Morrissey, go check out his website, paulhasawebsite.com. You can see all his upcoming dates of his own tour. If he's touring with Tom Papa, you're still on the Sirius XM, right?
We do Come to Papa at the Comedy Cellar at the end of this month. I think it's the 25th or 26th.
Yeah.
And
I like Tom Papa. He's a nice man.
And check out his new comedy album, Ice Cream versus Everything. Go to Apple Music or Spotify or wherever you
got any new countries coming up?
Yeah.
I'm doing Bangkok. There's a new club in Bangkok. I'm doing the end of April.
Yeah.
And then what was the other one? Do you have any suggestions? Because you're like the model for this. Whenever I go somewhere, they're like, "Oh, they were just here." Because I think when you guys were in Bangkok last time, you guys had just been there.
I tell you, like a country that I was just speaking to Barang about, the new one that I'm going to do is on the next tour. I'm going to include Istanbul.
Yeah,
because I hear there's a scene.
He was just there.
Yeah,
I was looking at Barang's story.
Yeah, Barang's like we can sell gigs in Istanbul.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But we did a whole so I'll tell you something cool that we did.
Morocco? Have you ever done?
No, I haven't done Morocco either. But we just did Iceland.
And
Iceland's
comedy clubs.
A short flight. It's only a 3-hour flight from New York.
Yeah. Oh, really?
About 5 hours, I think. But still, it's not terrible. But yeah.
It's 5 hours to London.
Yeah.
It's on the way to London.
Yeah.
Well, they're the ones that had that crazy airline. It was like $80 for like a year, and all these like Instagram people went
for 3 days.
But then the airline went bankrupt in the middle, and everyone was like stuck at the airport. But I remember everyone went to Iceland, like Reykjavik.
It's a very unique country, and I just watched like Phil. Somebody feed Phil. He went there. He went to a lot of the places we went to.
That soup is the best soup I've ever eaten.
Remember the pork thing we just had in that like bar, like bus? He went there. He had a hot dog.
The episode's really good.
He did like all the things we did, except he had the langoustines, but not. He didn't drive out where we went. The place we went was amazing, but.
Well, I want to take the wife to Iceland and then stay in one of those like those bubble rooms and watch the Northern Lights and have that soup. That's one of my next like actual holidays without.
Yeah.
But any place that you wouldn't do a gig that you just want to see?
Oh, there's plenty of places that I'd like to see.
Like the Maldives, have you ever been?
I've never been to the Maldives. But see, this is the thing is, I like my wife didn't grow up like super wealthy or anything like that, but she did grow up in a family that were very into traveling. They thought travel was important, right?
Cool.
And so every time I'm with my wife and I'm like, hey, I'm going to take you to blah, blah, blah. We show up to some country where I think I'm like, aren't you lucky to be married to me? and she goes to this, I went a couple of times here when I was a child.
Yeah.
So she's been to the Maldives. I'm doing some work in Australia coming up. I've got an Australian.
I still haven't been to Australia. That's what I got.
Well, then you got to do Australia. Go to Australia. I can hook you up with promoters in Australia. I can hook you up with gigs in Australia, man.
It's just what's the shortest amount of time that you can go? Like that's
a
trouble.
day. No one stops you. No. Right, but if you wanted to just do one coast, if you wanted to just do
like
the
2 weeks,
East Coast, I would say 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yeah.
2 weeks would be the minimum.
Stay on the East Coast, because if you go to Perth, it's 5 hours.
Well, it's the same with Edinburgh. Every time I try to do it, they're like, "No, you have to do the whole month," and I'm like, "I can't."
No. I wouldn't bother doing Adelaide, Melbourne, all that type of stuff, all the festivals.
Yeah.
I'd go do the Sydney Comedy Store, the Sit Down Comedy Club, and the Laughter Lounge in Melbourne, and then you go the Comics Lounge in Melbourne, and you could go 1, 2, 3. You could do the 3 cities, 3 weekends, time it so that you're just there for like 16 days more than, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like type of thing.
There's shows in between too you can do.
And then there's some pub gigs in between. But you could go for 3 weekends, get yourself 9 gigs sorted out, you know what I mean? Where you have enough time to see everything. But, so I don't give a fuck. I always get told I'm not allowed to announce things, right? I'm not allowed to announce things. But Australia, there will be a tour July, August, a tour of the whole country, and I'm going to be doing more rurally type places that I haven't done. When I say rural, I'm going to do some smaller towns as well, which I haven't done. But I'm going to hit all the big cities. I'll be in all the big cities, and I'll be doing some smaller towns.
So did we just announce a tour together?
Well,
Is that how this happened?
yeah. And, but I'm not allowed to announce it. But you've heard it here first. So watch out.
Any of my dates, Jim will be the special guest. We can't say.
Yeah.
But. What was my point of mentioning that? There was something else I was going to mention.
I don't know. It's the end of the podcast, by the way.
Fuck it. I'll mention it at the beginning then. No one ever listens to this bit at the end. Our drop-off's immense.
Okay. So you got to wrap us up.
All right. Thanks so much, mate. That was
No, thank you. Hopefully that was fun. I figured he was like your type of guy. When we were talking about it, I was like, I think he'd love Mark Twain.
I love Mark Twain already. I always liked him because of the quotes and stuff, but I just didn't know fucking anything about him. If you're ever at a party and someone comes up to you and goes, you know that Mark Twain used to smoke 30 cigars a day, go, well, I don't know about that. And walk away. Good night, Australia.